Thank you, Keith, and good morning, everybody. I'd like to spend a few times introducing you to our new company, Solidus Gold. Just a quick history lesson. Solidus was the coin that was the form of trade for the Byzantine Empire for about 1,000 years, so before the governments eventually debased that currency too. Gold market's been in a funk for the last 5 years. This year it finally woke up, and we've had investor interest in it. And about 3 years ago, we formed a shell company on the hunt for a new gold asset. Best time to buy an asset is when nobody else wants to. So we've been looking for the last several years. We tend to like a rifle shot approach to exploration rather than going out and acquiring 20 different projects. We like to acquire the best project we can find, and we think we've done that in our recently announced deal with Newmont to acquire the Northumberland asset, which is an asset that last really had the light of day back in about 2008 to 2011 in the form of one of two major assets in Frontier Gold, which was bought by Newmont in 2011 for $2.3 billion. Gold price was in the neighborhood of where it is about now. At that time, Frontier had two main assets, Long Canyon, which is the reason that Newmont bought Frontier, and Northumberland. Newmont kept these two assets. The rest of the portfolio of Frontier went into a company called Pilot Gold, which is out there now advancing some of the assets in that portfolio. Newmont kept Northumberland and worked on it for a little bit, but of course they got the downdraft in the gold market. They, as a typical large company, bought high and found themselves with a couple of different assets to advance, and chose to advance Long Canyon, which I think was probably the right decision for them. And so the Northumberland asset kind of just got squirreled away until we came along and got to talking with our exploration group. So in short, we've worked out a deal with Newmont to acquire the asset for $20 million US. It's 2008 43-101 resource estimate, last published by Frontier, contained over 500,000 ounces of oxide mineralization grading about 1.2 grams per ton, which in today's world of developing oxide deposits in Nevada is about twice the grade of what most everything else that's being heap leached in Nevada. So it's a good grade. It's not huge yet. We think we can do some more exploration and grow that to about 1 million ounces, and that's our plan going forward. In addition, there's a sulfide resource of about 1.7 million ounces of gold at 2.3 grams per ton in an open pit scenario, and another 3/4 million ounces at 3.5 grams per ton. Now these aren't stellar grades. This is a sulfide refractory ore. So they are resources, they're not reserves. We're not trying to sell them as reserves. Obviously Newmont wouldn't sell us reserves. But they do provide a fairly substantial amount of gold in a growing gold environment. I think these would be reserves. They're well drilled. You can see they're measured indicated resources. They would be reserves at, say, $1,600 gold, based on some studies that Newmont has done. So we think we can take these resources and grow them, and we think we can certainly develop the oxides, and that's certainly part of our plan going forward. I just want to touch on a couple of historic valuations. When this was in the Frontier portfolio, analyst coverage, and these were all big banks that you can read the names at the bottom. The net asset value of this of the Northumberland asset was between 150 million US and 300 million US. So in a gold environment that's not too dissimilar from today, we see we think we have a renewed interest in gold after about a 5-year drought. We've seen gold advance up towards 1,350, 1,400, and then it's had a recent pullback last week, but it seems to have gotten some legs again. Certainly based on the world situation, I think gold is certainly a solid investment for people to look at in a negative interest rate world. Gold does provide some stability and certainly based on the debate the other night, I can't believe anybody thinks that's going to turn out well. In terms of more recent market comparables, we show this diagram. Investors, we're doing this financing at 35 cents. We're raising 40 million Canadian. Investors will be acquiring an ounce for about $14 an ounce on an enterprise value basis. Our peer group is in that sort of 30 to 50 range, so we think we're providing good value there to our shareholders. And the other thing I point out about this diagram is that exploration results and exploration companies like Gold Standard and Integra and Orion, they're all getting a premium for their ounces because the market is, again, excited about exploration. And that is something that our team has done extremely well at over the years. We grew the Donlin asset to 40 million ounce gold deposit. That's now in the middle of permitting. But we know how to tell the exploration story, and we've been successful at it over the years. So we think we can attract this kind of evaluation as well. Let me just describe the asset to you briefly. We're in central Nevada. Nevada is the best jurisdiction in the world to mine gold. We're about equidistant from Reno or Las Vegas, so if you want to come visit the property, you can choose how you lose your money or where you lose your money. We're about 30 miles north of Round Mountain. This is an asset that's owned 100% by Kinross now, produces about 400,000 ounces of gold a year. One of the unique things about this asset that I really like is that all of the resources that are defined are outlined in red here, and they're within that purple box, which is private land. Any of you who are familiar with permitting in the United States know it's a total pain in the butt, but it is a lot easier on private land. And that's where one of the things that we think we can, well, not only one, rapidly advance the exploration portion of this next stage, but also in terms of developing a mine. Permitting a mine on private land is vastly easier than permitting it on public property, whether that's state land or federal land. So our entire resource is located on private land, and the immediate exploration upside is on that private land. Here's an enlargement of that area. And as you can see, the drill density on the black dots is sort of on the east half of that kidney bean. That's the indicated measured indicated resources of the oxide and sulfide resources, 500,000 ounces of oxide and 2.5 million ounces of sulfide. The red dots are all drill holes that were done after that 2008 Frontier release, 43-101 release. So there's 18,000 meters of drilling done subsequent to that. And you notice we've highlighted some of the grades there in that 18,000 meters of drilling. And clearly what Frontier was working on was developing a higher grade gold, underground sulfide gold resource to focus on. And that's exactly what we're going to go do. You can see some of the drill results there, 37 meters of 7 grams, and then another zone, 13 meters of 10 grams. That would be ore at today's gold price. And that is exactly what we're going to go do. We're going to go focus on the oxides at the surface, the near surface oxides that are about 1.2 grams. Again, that's much better grade than what's currently being developed currently being mined in Nevada. And then we're going to go focus on the higher grade sulfides. And that's, again, something we have a lot of experience doing as an exploration group. We've added a lot of value through the drill bit, and that's exactly what we're going to go do again. Outside the kidney bean, on the surrounding property, there's some really excellent targets. I particularly like the one immediately to the south of the resource area. Outcropping half-gram material, that's ore-grade soil at the surface. We think that's a good target to develop another oxide deposit that's not in the current resource. And then over on the east there, you see that 12-kilometer-long series of soil anomalies. That's underneath the upper plate Venini Formation. Classic place to go look for buried Carlin-style mineralization. So we're going to get after it as explorationists. That's what we love to do. Our financing, as I mentioned, we're raising 40 million Canadian. First check goes to Newmont for 20 million US. We'll put all our information together. We've got about 3 terabytes of information that we're acquiring in this transaction. So that'll take some time to get that all worked up. We'll be ready to drill hopefully in about February, March of this year. Put the bonds in place. We'll have about $8 million to direct at drilling. That should get us about 12,000 meters. We'll focus again on the near surface oxides and on that higher grade 5 to 15 gram underground sulfide material. We've got a booth over here, so love to come talk to us, and we'll look forward to visiting with you. Thank you very much.